gather not to reminisce about the glories of our pasts, but to delve into the heart of today's political fervor, where the MAGA and America First movements stir much debate and division. Our purpose is clear: to dissect these ideologies with the scalpel of our varied experiences.
Indeed, George, but let us not forget that the allure of power can distort the noblest of intentions. My conquests, though grand, were not without their shadows. A leader must guard against the seduction of authoritarianism.
Power, Alexander, is neither noble nor base. It merely is a tool, as the eagle uses its talons. Trump's ascent, mirroring the populism that carried me to the consulship, demonstrates the unchanging nature of public discontent. Yet it is the handling of such power that history shall judge.
Let us also ponder the balance between authority and popular support. My reign was sustained by maintaining this delicate equilibrium. Too much reliance on authority alone breeds tyranny, a pitfall any leader, including Trump, would do well to avoid.
The essence of true leadership lies in serving the least among us and leading with humility. Populism that divides rather than unites undermines the very fabric of democracy. It concerns me that today's movements seem to forget this fundamental truth.
But nationalism, when wielded like a blunt instrument, can indeed fracture societies. Yet, it has also been the rallying cry against tyranny, as we witnessed in the 20th century. The challenge lies in ensuring it does not morph into xenophobia.
It is this tension between rallying a nation and dividing it that we must explore. Each movement, each wave of popular sentiment carries within it both the seeds of unity and the specter of division. Let us proceed, then, with open minds and a firm resolve to uncover the nuances of MAGA and America First. Let us delve into the heart of the matter. The rise of authoritarian leaders in democratic societies is not a novel phenomenon, yet it is imperative we scrutinize its roots and manifestations. Caesar, your rise was marked by immense populism. Do you see your reflection in Trump's ascent?
Indeed, George, the hunger of the people for strong leadership can lead to the elevation of individuals who promise grand solutions. In my time, I crossed the Rubicon, not merely a river, but a boundary of authority. Trump, in his way, promised to cross the barriers of political stagnation. However, the means by which one harnesses public discontent must be weighed carefully. My rise was through the fabric of the republic's existing structures, albeit stretching them, while Trump seemed to often clash against his own governing systems.
A fine point, Caesar, but let us not overlook the critical element of military prowess and expansionism that characterized my reign. Trump's approach, by contrast, leaned towards an isolationist stance, an America First policy devoid of the empire-building aspirations of our eras. Yet the charisma and authoritative command are common threads, the ability to mobilize and inspire, to cast an image larger than life.
Charisma and command, yes, Alexander, but where lies the balance? My reign was defined by the careful maintenance of authority alongside garnering genuine popular support. It's a balance, I dare say, that Trump struggled with, leaning heavily on authority, perhaps thinking it a substitute for genuine connection and support from the masses. Authority without the heart and loyalty of your people is a castle built on sand.
Elizabeth makes a prudent observation. The foundation of genuine support cannot be neglected. Populist tactics are effective in rallying public favor, but without the underpinning of true popular support, division festers.
And what of the military strategies and expansionist pursuits? They unified my empire and spread Hellenistic culture across continents. Trump's isolationism is an antithesis to such a vision. Yet we must acknowledge every era, every society demands a different approach.
Exactly, Alexander. The world stage has evolved. The strategies of our times may not apply directly today. However, the underlying principles of governance, of wielding power responsibly and fostering unity, remain timeless.
It is precisely the wielding of power and fostering unity where caution must be exercised. Power in the hands of an authoritarian leader, when unchecked, can lead to the erosion of democratic norms and values. The rise of such leaders often begins with the promise of rectifying societal ills, yet history teaches us the perils of concentrating too much authority in singular hands.
I cannot deny, Mahatma, that the centralization of power poses inherent risks. My path was meant to stabilize a republic in turmoil, yet it opened doors to the era of emperors, not all of whom wielded power with wisdom or benevolence.
The discussion eloquently captures the complexity of leadership in times of discontent. The parallels and divergences from historical precedents provide a rich tapestry for understanding the modern phenomenon represented by Trump's rise. As leaders of men and nations, your insights lay bare the eternal challenges of governance and the quest for balance between authority and the genuine will of the people. Let us delve into the heart of populism and nationalism, phenomena that have shaped our eras and the present day alike. Populism, in essence, thrives on the divide. It separates the petals from the stem, claiming to nurture the garden. Yet what is a flower without its stem? The divisive nature of such movements undercuts the very unity it pretends to foster.
While I heed your wisdom, Mahatma, let us not disregard populism's utility. In Rome, the voice of the people, the true populus Romanus, was a force of nature. It could elevate a man to great heights. It is not the strategy that is to be faulted, but the hands that wield it.
A kingdom divided within itself will indeed falter, but let's not equate nationalism with mere division. My conquests were underpinned by the idea of a united Hellenism. It was the fire that forged empires from disparate states. Should we then view nationalism as an inherently pernicious force?
Alexander, your empire crumbled after your demise, a testament to the perils of over-reliance on a single unifying figure. And Julius, the republic fell when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, populism turning its back on the very democracy it feigned to champion. Nationalism, wielded unwisely, is the gravedigger of that noble institution, democracy. During the Blitz, it was patriotism, not nationalism, that held Britain steadfast, not an inward-looking but a knowing of one's place in the world and a readiness to defend it.
The line betwixt nationalism and patriotism is as thin as the silk from the Orient. Yet, distinguish we must. In my reign, unity under the Tudor rose was paramount. It was nationalism, yet not one that closed the doors to the world. It elevated us, did not isolate us. The mark of successful leadership is navigating these tumultuous seas without losing sight of the horizon.
Unity, as you all describe, seems to be the thread binding your tales. Yet this unity should not be mistaken for uniformity. The strength of a nation lies in its ability to embrace diversity, to turn the cacophony of its people's voices into a symphony. Nationalism, more often than not, seeks to silence the dissonance, and therein lies the peril.
But Mahatma, is not a leader's primary duty to ensure the prosperity and security of his people? If populism serves as a ladder to achieve these ends, should it be so easily condemned?
Julius, prosperity built on the sands of populism is as enduring as a castle on the shores, washed away at the next high tide. Leadership demands a firmer foundation.
A leader's glory lies in the legacy he leaves. The empires of the mind are as important as those of land. Perhaps, then, the ultimate question is whether nationalism and populism can ever construct a legacy that doesn't crumble under its own weight.
It seems we arrive at a consensus that while populism and nationalism wield power, their application must be judicious, aiming not to sever but to strengthen the unity of nations, always with an eye on the legacy it aims to leave.
Indeed, for in the end we are but players on the world's stage, our actions echoing in the annals of history. Let us strive to ensure that echo is not a discord, but a harmony.
Let us delve into the intricate relationship between economic policies and authoritarian governance. Elizabeth, your reign saw impressive economic and cultural growth. Do you believe Trump's protectionist policies align with strengthening national sovereignty, or do they tread a short-sighted path?
My governance, indeed, fostered prosperity through careful and open trade relations. Mr. Trump's protectionism, starkly contrarian, seems a step back into isolation. A nation's strength lies not in its barriers, but in its ability to engage, trade, and cooperate. Protectionism is but a momentary salve that could inflict long-term wounds.
But Elizabeth, remember, the strength of Rome under my rule was built on a strong economy, yes, but also on strategic control. Trump's policies, while seemingly insular, could be part of a larger strategy for renegotiation on the global stage. The issue lies not in using economic policies as a tool, but in ensuring those policies benefit the state as a whole, not merely the patricians.
Elizabeth and Caesar, while your points hold merit, Trump's economic rhetoric divides where it should unite. My conquests and the subsequent trade among Hellenistic realms brought prosperity not by closing doors but by opening them, ensuring the flow of goods and cultures. True strength arises from unity, not division.
Unity indeed, Alexander. Yet I find Trump's policies profoundly lacking in moral vision. Economic strength should serve the people, all of them, not merely a wealthy few. Prosperity built on the misfortune of others is no true prosperity. It is a himsa, non-harm, that must guide us. Policies must lift all, not stratify.
Economic policies, while a necessary tool in the statesman's kit, must be wielded with care. Trump's approach might seem to echo a form of wartime economy, but we are not at war. In my time, we unified for the greater good. Protectionism in peacetimes risks not only economic stagnation, but global alienation.
Winston, your point touches the heart of governance. To rule is not merely to dictate, but to foresee, to guide a nation not merely through present storms, but to navigate it towards a prosperous future. Trump's policies lack this foresight, focusing on immediate gains rather than sustainable growth.
Nevertheless, one must not hastily judge the effectiveness of such policies. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will America be reshaped in one presidential term. The true measure of success will be whether these policies, in the long term, bring about a stronger, more united America or deepen its divides.
Unity, Caesar, is the key word. Yet when unity is forced, lacking the consent and well-being of the governed, it is no unity at all. Trump's policies must be analyzed not just by their economic impact, but by their effect on the societal fabric.
Indeed, Alexander, and let us not forget, true victory, true prosperity, lies in uplifting even the least of us. Economic policies are powerful, but they must be wielded with compassion and vision. Without these, they risk becoming mere tools of division. An insightful discourse. It seems our views converge on the notion that economic policies, while crucial to a nation's strength, require careful balancing with ethical considerations, societal unity, and long-term vision.
In the midst of the greatest conflict the world had ever seen, the power of words broadcast through the air was a discovery as potent as the atom. Yet Trump's harnessing of social media turns this power into child's play, often undermining the very essence of statesmanship.
A leader must be seen as more than a man, but as a symbol, a beacon for his people. My image consolidated my empire, yet I never forgot the force of a united vision. It seems Trump uses his platform not to unify, but to glorify himself and divide.
Propaganda, in its essence, is as old as Rome itself. I used it to maintain power, to ensure the people followed my lead. The problem lies not in the use of media, but in its purpose. To lead is one thing, to mislead for one's own gain quite another.
A monarch's voice, or any leader's for that matter, can be a balm to her people or a weapon. During my reign, we strove for the former. Alas, the tools at my disposal were not as immediate or vast. The misuse of such a powerful medium as social media can corrode the very soul of a nation.
The truth has a power unmatched by any army or tweet. In my struggle, the truth was my strongest ally. Manipulating media to spread falsehoods or incite hatred betrays the trust of the people. A leader who does so fears the truth, for it does not serve him.
And yet we must acknowledge the man knew his audience. Like the orators of old, he commanded attention. The distinction, however, lies in the substance. Where once words built nations and inspired generations, now they seem to serve but the speaker.
Indeed, but leadership is more than mere attention. It's direction, purpose. One wonders where the map is in this era of tweets and turmoil.
Direction, yes, but also the wisdom to navigate through the storm without losing oneself to the seduction of power. It is a tightrope walk, on which not only the leader's fate, but also that of his subjects precariously balances.
Balance or not, control of the narrative is an age-old tactic. However, one must question to what end, for stability and unity or personal gain and division.
It is the intent behind the action that defines its virtue. Leadership calls not for the amplification of discord and fear, but for the fostering of unity and understanding. A medium as powerful as modern media should be wielded with responsibility and compassion.
Well, responsibility is a rare commodity these days, it seems. The barrage of the immediate often drowns out the thoughtful and the profound. The medium is not to blame, but the manner of its use. It reflects not just the man, but the times.
Times change, and with them so must the methods of leadership, but the essence remains constant. To lead is to inspire, to unite, to elevate, not to belittle, divide, or subjugate.
Precisely. The measure of a leader's success is not in the fervor of his followers, but in the peace and prosperity of his realm. In this, both the medium and the message play crucial roles.
Let us then remember, amidst the cacophony of voices and the relentless pace of modern media, the weight of words carries. For better or worse, they shape the world we live in. As leaders, past and present, the responsibility to wield this power wisely and well remains our greatest challenge. Let us now delve into the contentious issue of immigration policies. Elizabeth, your reign saw complex relations with foreign entities. How do you view the use of immigration policies in bolstering nationalist agendas?
During my time, the prosperity of England was intricately tied to the nuanced understanding of foreign influences, not merely the exclusion of them. Oversimplification of immigration issues is a folly. It fails to recognize the strength derived from a diverse populace. To use immigration as a tool for nationalist agendas is to undermine the very fabric of a nation's greatness.
Indeed, Elizabeth speaks truth. In my empire, integration policies fostered loyalty and strength. The confluence of cultures under my rule was not a weakness but a testament to the strength of unity. Stringent immigration policies repudiate the value of diversity. They are a mark of fear, not strength.
Yet, a leader must protect the interests of his citizens above all. Rome opened its arms to many, but always with the understanding that Rome comes first. The problem lies not in protecting one's country, but in doing so with rhetoric that divides and degrades.
However, using immigration as a political tool betrays a lack of humanity and ethical governance. Every individual, regardless of their origin, holds inherent value. Policies should reflect empathy and support for the oppressed and the needy, not exacerbate their suffering.
The issue at hand, though, isn't the protection of one's borders. Every nation reserves the right to do so. The greater concern lies in the manner of implementation and the rhetoric employed. It's one thing to govern with an eye towards national security. It's entirely another to incite division and fear for political gain.
A ruler's first duty is to unite, not divide. My campaigns were successful not because I segregated, but because I integrated, drawing strength from the diversity of my empire.
And yet, in trying to protect one's realm, the real danger lies in losing sight of our shared humanity. Stricter immigration laws, in the guise of protection, often stem from a misplaced fear of the other.
True, Elizabeth. But let us not forget that governance requires a balance. A nation without laws and protections for its citizens falters.
The consensus seems reflective of a broader understanding that while governance requires regulation, it should not compromise on the principles of humanity and diversity. The dialogue has been rich, but let us proceed to the role propaganda and media play in shaping public opinion. Let us now turn our focus to the phenomenon of cults of personality and leader worship. History reveals the perils and potency of such phenomena. I rejected kingship, valuing the republic's integrity over the allure of absolute power.
Leader worship is indeed a double-edged sword. In times of crisis, a figurehead can rally a nation, as I did during the Blitz. But the line is fine between respect and idolatry.
The idea of being worshipped as a deity was strategic, uniting disparate peoples under my rule. Yet I acknowledge centralizing power so distinctly upon one's image is a precarious venture. It risks becoming the very foundation of tyranny.
The people's love is a sort of power, but to rely solely on it, to bask in it, risks the republic. I was declared dictator perpetuo, but it was this very adulation which led to my downfall. A leader should stand with the people, not above them.
It's a delicate balance to maintain. My portrayal as both Gloriana and the Virgin Queen won hearts and solidified my reign. Nevertheless, I governed with an ear to my counsel and an eye to the welfare of England, never fully giving in to the intoxication of adoration.
Worship of any leader is a path fraught with danger. True leaders inspire by example, leading not with the intent to be revered, but with the humility and purpose to serve their people faithfully and foster a better society.
Yet, Gandhi, without a semblance of authority, a figure can hardly bring a country together in desperate times. The war effort required a figure of indomitable spirit and resilience.
Speaking of authority, Churchill, your wartime leadership was indispensable. However, the essence of leadership is not just about rallying people in crises, but guiding them with vision and wisdom.
Vision, yes, but let us not forget, Alexander, that your vision often led to the subjugation of others. The cults of personality we forged were tools, and like all tools, they can build or destroy.
And what of the line between admiration and blind allegiance? We have seen how the latter corrodes the very fabric of governance, reducing it to whispers and shadows rather than open discourse.
Exactly, Elizabeth. Leadership must always encourage awakening among the masses, not their subjugation through charismatic manipulation. A society that places its leaders on pedestals loses the ability to critically assess them. This discourse underscores a truth. The wielding of power and the garnering of support must be tempered with a profound sense of responsibility to the people and the principles of democracy. The adulation of one at the expense of the many serves neither leader nor nation in the end. Suppressing dissent challenges the very foundation of democracy. Caesar, your legacy intertwines with controlling narratives. How do you defend such actions in a society that values freedom of speech?
Control is not about silencing voices, it's about harmonizing them towards the greater good of Rome. My actions, though seen as authoritarian, were necessary. The Senate was corrupt, the Republic faltering. Someone had to steer the ship amidst the storm. Dissent for the sake of dissent leads to chaos, not order.
I must interject. Controlling narratives too tightly weaves a dangerous web. In my reign, counsel and dissent were treasures that provided perspective. Without them, a monarch or any leader risks becoming ensnared in their own echo chamber, blind to the perils until it's too late.
Indeed, Elizabeth. In my conquests, the suppression of dissent never proved as effective as winning hearts. Persia, Egypt, India, vast lands conquered not merely by the sword, but by embracing their cultures, their leaders, instilling a sense of unity under my rule. An empire won by force alone is an empire destined to crumble.
But remember, authority imposed from above suppresses the human spirit. True change and enduring power comes from consent, not coercion. My life's work in India emphasized nonviolent resistance, proving that even the mightiest empire can be moved not by suppressing dissent, but by awakening a collective conscience.
There's some truth to your words, Mahatma, but also naivety. In the darkest hours of the Second World War, Britain needed a single, unified direction. Yes, dissent was a luxury we could hardly afford, but this was war, not governance. In peace, dissent is the lifeblood of democracy. Suppress it, and you might just find yourself fighting on the wrong side of history.
Yet Winston, without some degree of narrative control, would Britain have survived the Blitz? Leadership sometimes necessitates a firm hand to guide public opinion, especially in times of national crisis.
A firm hand, Caesar, but never a closed fist. The legacy of a leader is not measured by the silence they enforce, but by the voices they inspire. A true leader listens and adapts, finding strength in diversity of thought.
Unity in diversity, indeed, Alexander. A leader's challenge lies in balancing strong governance with the freedom to question. Total suppression of dissent is a sign of weakness, not strength. It demonstrates a fear of being proven wrong, a fear of losing power, which ironically hastens its loss.
A thought-provoking discussion. The balance between guiding and governing, between unity and uniformity, remains a delicate dance. Our very republic was founded on the principles of dialogue and dissent. To forget that is to risk losing the essence of democracy itself. Let us ponder the erosion of democratic norms, a concern as grave as any war fought on the battlefield. Caesar, you've seen the republic fall. Begin.
Indeed, George. The republic I knew crumbled not under the sword, but from within, a victim to its own decay. Power, when left unchecked, gravitates towards tyranny. America stands upon a similar precipice, letting the fear of the other erode its democratic pillars.
Yet, Caesar, you yourself crossed the Rubicon, bringing the end to the very republic you now romanticize. Is it not the duty of a leader to fortify institutions against such decay, rather than expedite their demise through personal ambition?
Elizabeth, ambition, and the survival of the state sometimes walk hand in hand. My actions were but a reflection of Rome's failing state, not the cause. When leaders put themselves above the republic, the end is nigh.
Both of you speak of the end days as if they're predestined by leaders' follies. I contend it's not solely the ambition of leaders, but the complacency of the governed. Democracy is not maintained by the vigilance of the few, but by the many. When the people forget this, they are doomed to lose it.
An interesting point, Winston. I united disparate peoples under one banner, recognizing that strength lies in unity, not division. When leaders, through isolation or authoritarianism, seek to divide for their gain, they weaken the state's very foundation. Democracy or empire, the principle is the same.
Division, the Achilles heel of democracy, is indeed a tool often wielded by those in power. Yet I persist in the belief that truth and nonviolence can illuminate the path back to unity. When institutions crumble, it is the moral duty of the citizen to stand up, not to comply.
Institutions don't erode overnight. It is a gradual process, often unnoticed until it's too late. The leader's role is not just to lead, but to listen, to be the custodian of the nation's trust. Once that trust is broken, the fabric of society begins to unravel.
A custodian of trust, an apt description. As we navigate these tumultuous waters, it falls upon us to remember the lessons of history. The erosion of democratic norms is akin to a creeping shadow over the land. It is only with constant vigilance, a commitment to truth, and the collective will of the people that democracy can be preserved. Our discussion today sheds light on the paradox of power. It is as capable of building nations as it is of destroying them. Let us navigate the tumultuous seas of foreign policy, particularly the isolationist tendencies that seem to permeate the America First agenda. How do these strategies fare in the long run for peace and prosperity?
Isolationism, a seductive mistress, promises safety but delivers stagnation. We stood alone against a continental tyranny, not by choice but by necessity. In today's interconnected world, retreating behind walls is folly. A nation benefits not from shunning the world but by leading it.
Indeed, the world is won by those who venture beyond their borders. My empire, vast and diverse, was not built on isolation, but on the integration of the cultures and peoples I encountered. Strength lies in unity, not division.
America First sounds like the battle cry of one fearing the competition. Rome thrived, not by turning inward, but by embracing its role in the Mediterranean and beyond. Leadership is a role for the bold, not the timid, who fear the game of nations.
There's wisdom in navigating the global stage with careful diplomacy and strategic alliances. My reign saw the expansion of England on a global scale, yet always with an eye to balance and mutual benefit. Isolation serves neither.
The concept of isolation in a world as interconnected as ours is not just impractical, it's an illusion. True progress comes from cooperation, understanding, and the mutual respect of nations. The path of self-centeredness leads only to global discord and suffering.
Your words, Mahatma, though admirable, assume rational actors on all fronts. Sometimes, isolation or at least selective engagement is a shield against the follies of less peaceful entities.
A shield becomes a cage if wielded with fear. My conquests were not merely for land, but for the exchange of ideas, culture, and the benefits of Greek thought. Isolationism denies people these enriching exchanges.
Fear. Fear leads to the erection of walls, physical and metaphorical. Rome's power was in its ability to assimilate and incorporate, not to exclude and isolate. The same holds for any great power, ancient or modern.
Yet, strategic isolation, when chosen wisely, serves as a moment to gather strength. England's naval prowess, for instance, allowed us to choose our engagements, but we never shied away from global commerce or exploration.
The crux of the matter lies in intention. Isolation to protect and incubate peace is different from isolation born of fear and uncertainty. The latter breeds resentment, both within and outside a nation's borders, a spirited discourse. It is clear that while isolation may offer temporary refuge, engagement and cooperation forge the path to lasting peace and prosperity. Leadership on the global stage demands more than withdrawal. It requires vision, courage, and an inclusive approach. Let us now turn our attention to legacies and historical judgment. How will the MAGA and America First movements be remembered, and what implications do they have for leadership and humanity's course? Leadership, my friends, at its core is service to the people. If a movement divides, instills fear, or serves the few at the expense of the many, its legacy will be one of caution, not emulation. Peace and human rights must be the yardsticks by which we measure true progress. Anything less is a disservice to the human spirit.
But remember, Mahatma, history often favors the bold. MAGA and America First, like them or not, demonstrate a certain boldness. The concern, however, is with their application and the precedents they set. Will future leaders adopt a similar stance but with more divisive tactics? That risks the integrity of leadership itself.
Indeed, Caesar, yet a leader's legacy rests not just on their boldness, but on their wisdom. A leader must navigate the treacherous waters of their time with foresight, ensuring their actions align with justice and the well-being of their people. I fear Trump's movements may be seen as a cautionary tale of leadership that lacked a global vision and sacrificed unity for division.
Boldness without wisdom is mere recklessness. I conquered lands, but always with a vision of integration and unity among those I ruled. If MAGA and America First lead to isolation and disunity, then their legacy will be judged harshly. True strength lies in the ability to unite, not divide.
Well, I must say, a movement's legacy is indeed forged by its achievements and failures, but also by its resilience against the tides of time. The real question is whether the principles of MAGA and America First have the durability to withstand future scrutiny. Will they adapt or become relics of a bygone era, remembered more for their controversy than their accomplishments?
It appears, then, that the consensus among us is that the judgment of history on these movements will depend significantly on their long-term impacts on justice, unity, and human rights, as well as their adaptability to future challenges. It is not the loudness of one's declaration, but the righteousness of one's cause and the depth of one's character that endures in the annals of history. As we draw this discussion to a close, it's clear our journey through these themes has been as tumultuous as it has been enlightening. History is not merely a backdrop to our current struggles. It is the lens through which we must view them.
Indeed, George, and if history teaches us anything, it's that the values of democracy must be defended fiercely. The resilience of these values is tested in the fires of adversity. We've seen attempts to undermine them today, as we have in the past, but I remain confident in their enduring strength.
Confidence is well and good, Winston, but without action, it is as hollow as a broken vessel. We spoke of isolationism and authoritarianism as if these were mere choices on the grand chessboard. Let us not forget, unity and cooperation are not merely strategies but necessities for survival. My empire was not built by turning inwards but by reaching out, sometimes with the olive branch, other times with the sword.
Ah, Alexander, always the conqueror. Yet remember, the strength of a society lies not only in its ability to expand, but to integrate and unify. The MAGA and America First movements, with their inward gaze, forget that true power is wielded by those who can balance self-interest with the global commonweal.
Both of you speak of unity and power, yet the essence of leadership, the very core of it, is listening to and serving one's people. Something those behind these movements claim to do, but often fall short of. Leadership is not about personal glory or legacy. It is a responsibility to those we govern, to the future we will never see.
Precisely, Elizabeth. And in serving, we must lead with nonviolence and truth. These movements, engendered by division and discontent, stand in stark opposition to these values. The real strength of a leader is measured by their commitment to peace and unity. It is clear, then, that our reflections today circle back to the vigilant defense of democratic ideals, the pursuit of unity over division, and leadership that genuinely serves. These are the principles that must guide us as we navigate the challenges of today and tomorrow.
A word of caution, though, George. Even the best ideals need the arm of action to uphold them. Let us learn from history, but not be bound by it. The future is forged by those who dare to envision a better world and take the necessary steps toward it.
And let us not forget, the judgment of that future, of history, will be unkind to those who sought power at the expense of virtue. It is a lesson many have learned too late.
Agreed. But let us also remember, the judgment of history isn't the final word. Each generation has the chance to rewrite it, to face down the specters of division and authoritarianism. Our discussion here, contentious as it has been, is proof of democracy's lively heart.
Indeed, Winston, and it will be the task of those who come after us to continue this defense. Our words today are but echoes in the long hall of history. May they resonate with those who stand where we now stand.
And may those echoes carry the message of peace, unity, and tireless struggle against the forces that seek to divide us. My hope remains with the power of the people. Their collective will is the strongest force against tyranny and injustice. With those reflections, our discussion comes to an end, not as a conclusion, but as a continuation of the vital dialogue that sustains democracy. Let us all carry forward the spirit of this conversation in our words, our actions, and our unwavering commitment to the principles that define us. Thank you all.